Dude, did you know you can subscribe to onlywrestlers.com and keep in touch with your favorite wrestlers? The party never has to end.
This week's episode of One of a Kind with RVD is presented by Get Blitzed, and you can get 15% off your order when you head to get-blitz.com and use promo code RVD. Get 15% off.
One of a Kind with Rob Van Dam is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
I'm trying to figure out, like, why is everybody so into this moment that Hulk Hogan got booed?
Well, hey, we had another inaugural kickoff here earlier this week. Was Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Rod, did you get to watch all of it, or did you get to watch a little bit of it? And if you did, what were your thoughts on the execution of it all?
Yeah, someone got executed?
Yeah, they did. They knocked it. They whacked somebody on the show.
That's probably too much. I know they get away with that because it's Netflix, but I think like the first hour ish, or so. Have I already said ish like 8 times on this show?
You said it before we start recording, though, so you're good.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and stop saying that. I saw, The Rock in his speech, and Triple H. I think he came out and did a speech.
Yep.
Saw a match or two. Didn't see the whole thing in its entirety, but of course I did see video of Hulk Hogan's part of the show on every single website and news platform that there is online. Like, everybody picked that up, and they still are.
Yeah.
Why is that such big news?
Look, I don't know. It's just like it is, and it makes mainstream websites too. Like news sites. I think it was covered on
Pro wrestler is booed at a wrestling event. I don't understand why it's so hot. And I mean, Hogan, he's controversial and quite possibly the most recognizable celebrity on the planet. So, I get where that's hot, but they light him up and they let him cool down, light him up, lights himself up and cools down. He goes through the cycles always, and always seems to dig himself back out mostly, and then bury himself again. And this one, I'm trying to figure out, like, why is everybody so into this moment that Hulk Hogan got booed? And I think maybe one factor that I suspect, but I don't know, is, everybody wants to fakeify wrestling so much so they can feel, people don't like to feel like they don't understand something, anything really, but they want to believe that they do have an understanding of how everything works. And I think that people, maybe one of the reasons that it's such a big topic is because people are thinking this wasn't their plan. WWE didn't want people to boo him. Hulk didn't want people to boo him. That he was supposed to get big cheers, and the crowd doesn't like him, so they booed him. So that, I think maybe, that's part of the interest, is like they're trying to fakeify and set up instead of just going with the roll, roll with it. And hey, guess what? That happened. I mean, at any other promo, Hulk would have just turned with them. Like, isn't that what he said he did with The Rock at WrestleMania?
Right.
Like, look, we got to change some things, brother. I mean, it's so I don't see how it's that big of a deal. I'm confused by it a little bit. I wonder what people think in the chat room.
Yeah, give us your thoughts on it. A lot of people say it's because of the political leanings with Trump and everything like that. And I think partially that might be something to do with it. They're in California; it's more like Democratic there. But that's
why he received boos, or that's why it's such big news.
I think that's why it's such big news. I think the fact that he was at the rally and he was at the Republican convention, and he was the highlight of that night.
Is it just the left side? Oh, what do you mean? It was the highlight of the night.
Well, I think when the Republican National Convention happened,
Yeah.
Hogan really stole the show that night. Like,
Okay, yeah.
From that, and so I think that he was a lot in the mainstream mindset of that. Like Hogan was the big deal that night, and then here he comes out, L.A. First episode of Raw on Netflix. The crowd just boos him. I think that, but like, I don't know if it's entirely all of the Trump stuff, because like the Undertaker was a supporter of Trump too, and he came out and he got cheered. Like that wasn't as much of a thing against him. So I thought it to be, yeah. I think a lot of the thing with Hogan when it comes to WWE and stuff like that, the past few years, he just hit like the paint by numbers catchphrases and plugged something with it. So like, what you're going to do when Netflix runs wild on you. And that's kind of all that is presented there, where instead they don't really incorporate him in a story, or they don't put him in a certain angle to kind of maybe give a little incentive for the fans to get invested, or it's just like, oh, Hogan's here to say his catchphrase and plug something. And that's kind of what he did that night too. So I don't know if that had a little bit to do with it too, but yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that, he was the one that got booed out of everybody. So.
Yeah. And still making people's talk shows, and it's a hot subject for everyone to still talk about. It's not the only time he's gotten booed, but it is an authentic boo. It's not an entertainment part of the show boo. It's more like hey, fuck that, we don't want to see you, get the hell out of here kind of boo. And that seems to be clear.
Do you think that's a good thing in wrestling, though, overall? Even if you get that "get the fuck out of here" kind of boo?
Can be. I think that's circumstantial. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. This is what somebody else. I like this idea, Skeletor from He-Man. He said he should spin it back to Hollywood Hogan and cuss people. I would like that if Hogan just completely went heel on the fans and just but promoted his beer still too. I think that would be the thing to do.
And because you can swear on Netflix, right?
Yes.
So he can be
fuck you, brother.
Well, that doesn't work for me, brother. Fuck you.
All you fans can go fuck yourself.
Fuck you.
Yes, I'm all for that.
I was going to say something about the heat that Hulk Hogan has. He has a lot of people seem to draw the lines at different places than other people draw lines at. Some people will get mad at somebody just for them associating with somebody that doesn't have the same values as them. And that happens a lot, like with Hulk Hogan. A lot of people would say, I would never hang out with a racist. What are you doing? Well, that's your values. For me, I think racists are stupid. It's like a lower level of thinking. I feel like, to actually hate people based on their skin color, their heritage, to actually think that you're better and a dominant species. I think that's ignorant, but I can't say that I would never hang around someone just because they're racist. A lot of times we have to meet on common grounds when we associate with people, especially in the entertainment business. In the entertainment business, there's always been it's always been run by people with unscrupulous intentions from the studio days of Hollywood, where they prostituted out all the women, and they hid all the all the drug taking and abortions and everything, and behind closed doors everything was kayfabe. In the movies, they would give Roman Navarro or their stars their own personalities, fake ones, for the magazines, and come up with their whole branding of how they wanted these stars to be seen. And that's wrestling is of course no different. Now that's getting more open everywhere in the entertainment business, though. It's always been a lot of shady characters that are in it, more open-minded values back in the day when everyone was just, praying to Jesus behind the closed door and making sure they were in by dark. The entertainers didn't care. They're touring at night, they're in the concerts, bars, whatever. It's always, 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 always been like that. I had a friend tell me recently, we were having a text argument, and he thought this was a good point, and he was talking about Pat Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, I would never work at a place where I knew that guys were getting jobs based on getting blowjobs or not. And it's just the kind of comment that, like, well, obviously I would. It's not because of that, but I would, just because I heard of that happening, that's not going to stop me from working for this company, even with this person. A lot of us work with people that have been accused of some pretty horrible shit. Like there's some. We all work for someone that's been accused of just trying to date a minor years ago. And you know what? We all worked for him, and maybe didn't for a minute. Maybe we're like, hey, I don't know. But in the end, seeing the bigger picture, most of us decided, well, fuck it. His money's as good as anyone else's. We'll take his too. Back in the day, some people wouldn't even work for someone if they knew they were gay. That was something that was bad. They were gay. That dude's gay. You're going to work for him, man? Who cares? So I just wanted to say that that's my view. Like, if anybody wonders, because people are like, well, even if you weren't there doing it, like, you knew these people were doing stuff. And look, like, first off, to be in that world, it's something that you wanted your whole life, and we're sacrificing everything, willing to give up anything just for a chance to be there. So just when you pop up and you're there, and you're the outsider in someone else's world, you're not necessarily going to be like, fuck this, I'm taking everybody down. Not most people, at least not that would have that drive, those goals, those desires that it would take to even get there. So that's why they can't understand, because they wouldn't be there. But I know I have some black friends that don't like racists at all. And I understand that. And I have some that don't really care. Bruce Jingles has a joke. He says, I'll get high with a racist. I don't care. And I can't go on to say his joke because he says the N-word, now that I think about it. But he's just like talking about smoking with someone, and someone, yeah, Negroes, I hate Negroes, but not that word, And he's like, he said, he'll go, yep, they can be a problem. That's his joke. And, I'm sure he tells it better than I do. That's a different joke, yeah. But anyway, a lot of people that I know, and again, you trust people with a certain distance. Everybody, you trust some people way more than you trust other people. But there's a position for a lot of people, and a lot of people that would say, I would never be friends with someone that's obviously a racist. Well, if that doesn't bother me, because we're not talking about racist things, what about if I felt like I wouldn't? What if I felt like I wouldn't want to be around somebody that beats their wife? What if, to me, you beating the hell out of your wife, domestic abuse, is a worse crime than saying the N-word? What if I felt like that? Does that make me a racist? Because I certainly think that that's a pretty bad crime. It's physical. There's a victim that gets beat up from it. But I think a lot of the people that would stand on this side of the fence of a racist, Like for instance, Hogan. No, Hogan's let's throw him away. Let's get rid of him. Um, if he is or not, is that a worse crime than beating the shit out of a woman if you're a man? Because that's more popular within certain demographics of the community, let's just say. And I think it's a valid point. So, anyway, it's going to be very rare to ever meet someone that has your exact same values. So it's always going to be somewhat of a compromise depending on where you want that person in your life. If that is your soulmate and you love that person, if you really love them and you would do anything for them and you want to live longer to be with them, then congratulations. That sounds very fulfilling and sounds like you found love.
Yeah, I mean, no matter where you go, no matter what business or genre or anything you work in, you're going to deal with people that you don't necessarily agree with on value wise or anything like that. And it's it's just the way life is, right? I mean, coexisting, whether you like them or not. It's just you work with people you don't like. it's just all part of the stuff.
Some of the people watching this probably know somebody that's killed someone.
But sure, yeah.
And they've learned to forgive them or whatever. It's just someone in their life. And at the same time, they're going to focus their anger on the N-word. And I don't mean to make it sound like that's not a sensitive issue or anything.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just like putting it all out there and saying that you got to think about all those other things too. What if you're hanging out with someone that's a bully? They're not cool. Bullies suck.
Bullies do suck. Racism's bad.
A robber, felon. Ooh, what if you're hanging out with someone that's a felon that's actually done time? Ooh, for you to judge someone else just for them even associating with someone, unless that person did something personally to you, in which case I would understand.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jingles was talking before that he was going to be still friends with my evil ex. I'm like, great. Why don't you go out to have dinner on me? Because the rest of her life is on me, motherfucker. That's different.
Yeah.
You're going to do that. You're on that side of the line. But if it's someone that didn't do anything personal to you and it's just about their values because they don't vote the same way you vote or whatever, how can you hang out with someone like that, man? Oh my God, what do you talk about?
And like the thing with Hogan too, he's such a public figure and his household name, and he's changed the wrestling business and everything to that effect. There's a lot of people. Yeah, some people do not like Hogan because of his past and what happened, but other people have been willing to be like, I still like Hogan. I like Hulkamania. I appreciate what he did for me as a kid and everything to that effect.
He's polarizing. He's
very polarizing, right?
Yeah. But also, like most people that I know that are 70-ish or older are a bit racist.
It's a different time. Like, not that's an excuse, but it's just like that. Yeah, I mean, like lot of that.
They spent so much of their life during like segregation that for them to just change their thoughts instantly would be like me being able to understand a cell phone instantly, even though they weren't around when my brain was developing and shit,
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Just 2 years before I was born, segregation ended. And it wasn't just instant, because people had their feelings and those feelings, a lot of those people are dying out. Except for like the activists, like the KKK and skinheads and weird people like that, haters, weird haters that with issues. I don't know, man. What a weird thing to be proud of.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the great thing about it all is, hey, you can make your own decisions and feel how you want to feel about somebody or feel, whatever. And but I think being able to coexist is another attribute of life. You just gotta, oh boy, whether you like dealing with a person or not, sometimes it's just like that's the way life is. It sucks in certain ways, but it's tough too. But Great perspective, Rob. I dig it. I dig it.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.